I'm Marin, and this is Post-its and Pens. Hello and welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Marin, and here you will find a little beauty, a little books, and a little teaching content. So if that sounds like something you might enjoy, I would love for you to subscribe and stick around and join me in my little corner of YouTube. In today's video, I am going to take you through my August reading recap to let you know all of my thoughts and feelings on the books that I finished in the month of August. So let's go ahead and get into the video. All of the books that I read last month were library books, so I do not have the actual physical book to show you, so I will be putting the cover over here. I will let you know a very brief synopsis of what the book is about, let you know what I felt about it, and if I would recommend it or not. So here we go with the first book that I finished in the month of August. Book number 1 for August was a sequel. It was The Elite by Kiera Cass. Now, I know that the selection has people very divided on their feelings. I really enjoyed the selection. I thought that the setup for the series was interesting. Now, obviously, there are a lot of problematic issues in the book, but I viewed it as kind of like fun brain candy, and I just flew through the first book. So I was really hoping that I would feel the same with the second book. However, in the second book, America drove me bonkers. So if you don't know what this election is about, America is chosen to potentially be the wife of Prince Maxon. So girls from all over the country, this is like a reimagined United States. They've been through World War III, some various things have happened, and they have been split into castes. So America is a lower caste, meaning that her family does not have very much money. Their profession is set based on what caste they are. So her family are either artists or musicians. But anyway, America enters the selection. She's chosen as one of the finalists, and she comes to the palace to potentially become Prince Maxon's wife. Now, in the first book, she is not interested in actually marrying Prince Maxon. She is in love with another person named Aspen. So there's a lot of like her thoughts about what she wants to do with her future. Now, in book 2, the love triangle between America, Maxon, and Aspen continues. It is a love triangle that I don't enjoy. There are some that I do like. This one I did not like. It was very obnoxious. She is very entitled and kind of a bitch, not gonna lie. And I just really did not enjoy her narration in the same way that I did the first book. Also, she is just... she's mad at Maxon because he's seen all of these other girls when he's basically said that he would choose her as his wife if he could. But she is like giving him the cold shoulder and not being very nice to him. So really she doesn't have any right to be jealous that he's continuing to look at potential other wives because she may not work out for him. So anyway, there's just a lot of ridiculousness. Also, there are some rebels who don't like the way the country is set up. They're trying to stop the selection. They keep showing up, but like they're supposed to be scary. It doesn't really seem that way in the book. I don't know. There were just a lot of things that I did not love about the second book. So in the end, I gave it 2 stars, whereas I had given the selection 4 stars. I am going to continue reading the series, but this one was quite the disappointment considering how much I enjoyed book 1. The second book that I read in August was the pick for the Literally Dead book club for the month of August, and it was For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. I actually read this one and the next one I'm going to talk about as part of a reading vlog, which I'll link up in the cards in case you would like to watch that and kind of see my thoughts as I was reading. But basically, this one tells the story of Teddy, who is a teacher at a private school. Teddy, how can you describe Teddy? Teddy thinks that he's doing the right thing by his students when really he is a teacher who is very stuck in the past. He doesn't want to change up how he teaches. He doesn't want to incorporate technology. And he gets these opinions on the students based on his kind of limited knowledge of them, and then like just can't let go of his preconceived notions about the students. So the student in this book that he is particularly set against is named Zach. And there's just a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes with that. Also, this is like a murder mystery book. However, you figure out probably by page 100 or so what actually is going on. There's just a lot of twists and turns. It was very, very engaging, very fast to read. And even though you know who's responsible, there were still things that happened that I did not see coming, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. In the end, I gave this one 4 stars, and I would highly recommend it because I just thought it was a really great thriller. The third book I read in August, and the last book in that vlog that I mentioned, was Tyler Johnson Was Here by J. Coles. So this one tells the story of Marvin Johnson. Marvin and his twin brother Tyler live in, I believe, Alabama. I could be wrong. It could be Mississippi, but I think it's Alabama. And basically they are being raised by a single mother. Their father is in prison, and Tyler falls into a not great group of guys. He starts selling drugs and things like that. Marvin is very straight-laced, very like straight-A student, has a goal for himself to attend MIT. So he is kind of taken aback when Tyler starts doing these things, but they attend a party, and at that party, Tyler disappears. It's found out later that what actually happened was Tyler was shot by a police officer as he was leaving the party, and then you kind of have the aftermath of that. However, I would say that the focus of this one is actually more on Marvin and Marvin's coming of age story in the context of losing his twin brother. So you don't see very much of like the trial process, that kind of thing. You don't really know how that all plays out. The focus is really more on Marvin and his 2 other friends. So I really, really liked this one. I thought it was quite realistic, a really important book to read considering our country and the world's current climate. And yeah, would highly recommend this one. I gave this one 4 stars as well. And yeah, I just really think it was very well done and would definitely recommend you check it out. The 4th book that I tried to read in the month of August was another DNF, and it was The Summer Prince by Alea Dawn Johnson. Now, this is quite possibly my own fault. So when I first requested this book from NetGalley back in like 2012, I thought it was a fairy book, and y'all, it is not a fairy book. It is a sci-fi book. I don't love sci-fi, so that was the first issue. I don't love sci-fi. If I'm gonna read sci-fi, I want it set in space, but this was like set in the future. The main character, whose name I can't even remember at this point, y'all, like, it really did not make much of an impact on me, and I didn't like it. So anyway, the main character lives in a reimagined Brazil, and their society is a matriarchal society. So they are run by a queen. Every year or so, I couldn't quite work out the math on this either, but every year or so, the queen picks a new prince who is then sacrificed to the gods to like keep their society going. I don't know, y'all. Whatever. It was kind of weird. And no one in their world sees anything wrong with like murdering these guys. So yeah, I don't know. I just really didn't love it. The main character also was not a very nice person. She was kind of difficult to read from. The book is told in first person too, so you're like in her head, and I did not like it. I did not like it. I would not recommend it. Other people have loved it, but again, the sci-fi thing was an automatic like X in my book, and I just really didn't like this one, so I stopped it about, I don't know, like 20% into it or something. I just did not like this one. The fifth book that I read, on the other hand, was my favorite book of the month, and that was Fire by Kristen Kishore. So I had read the first book, I had reread Graceling last month, and I decided to go ahead and continue on with the series. It was supposed to be part of Graceling Along, but they have since postponed that. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and continue reading the series, so I'm working on book 3 this month. But anyway, Fire tells the story of Fire. She is a human monster, which means she can affect people's minds and make them tell her things or do things just because she can control them. So Fire's father used that to his advantage and really destroyed their country, whereas Fire doesn't want to use her ability against people. So she's kind of fighting against her father's legacy. There are some secrets and things that come out with that, but Fire meets one of the prince of their land, and initially the prince doesn't like her, but it turns into a slow burn romance. I really loved that. She decides she's going to go ahead and use her ability to help their country because the country is on the brink of war from warring factions inside of its own borders. And I just really, really loved it. I don't know. I just really loved her. I loved her story, her journey as she kind of discovered who she was, what she wanted to do with herself. And yeah, really, really loved this one. I liked it more than Graceling, and I am excited to see what I will think of Bitter Blue. So in the end, with Fire, I did give it 5 stars. It was my favorite book of the month and one of my favorites of the entire year so far. Okay, book number 6 for the month of August was another book that I read for a reading vlog, which I will link up here, but it was Panic by Lauren Oliver. Now, this is another one that I had gotten an e-galley of years ago. Never read it, but it was one of the picks from my TBR jar. So I decided to go ahead and give it a go. I enjoyed it. However, you really have to suspend your disbelief with this one. So, in this story, the graduating seniors compete in this game called Panic. And basically, it is like Truth or Dare on steroids. They are given all of these tasks to complete. They earn points. And then you are kind of ranked until you come down to only 2 remaining people in the game. And then the winner takes a whole bunch of money that the kids have been paying into the whole year. The police don't do anything about this. I don't know. You had to really kind of just suspend your disbelief, as I mentioned, because there's no way that any of this would actually happen. But the main character decides that she's going to compete in Panic, mostly because she's upset that her ex-boyfriend dumped her. Y'all, whatever. And she decided she's going to do all of these tasks. Well, she becomes friends with someone who was not in their friend group. Then you have her and her 2 friends, one of which is also competing in Panic. So there's a lot of friendship dynamics, group dynamics, and then you have the overarching plot of the game of Panic. It was okay. I didn't love one of the point of view characters. His name was Dodge. I didn't really like him. So yeah, you're supposed to feel kind of sympathetic towards him, but honestly, he was just kind of an ass. I did like the main girl character, whose name I'm blanking on again. I'm so sorry. This is a mess of a review, but I did like her. She and her sister have a mother who is an alcoholic, so they are basically raising themselves. I did like her narration. I liked her. Again, it's a coming of age, figuring out who you are type story. I did like her point of view. Did not like Dodge's point of view. And in the end, this book was just kind of nah, it was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I would probably round it up to 3.5 if Goodreads did half stars, mostly because it was engaging. It kept me turning the pages and reading it, but it honestly, it isn't something that's going to stick in my head and I'm going to be thinking about later. So it was what it was. It was fine. Yeah, meh, whatever. And the last book that I read in the month of August, which is book number 7, was The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Now, this book has been hyped to the moon and back. And I can understand why. However, I feel like you need to go into this one not already knowing the story of Achilles in order for this one to really hit you with the emotional impact that the author was hoping for. Because I was already very familiar with the story of Achilles and the Trojan War in general, there wasn't very much that happened that I really felt deeply, because I kind of already knew what was going to happen. That being said, I listened to this on audio, and I would recommend the audio version. I feel like reading the book itself could potentially be kind of slow moving, but the audio, I don't know, there was just something about the narrator that really worked for me, really pulled me into the story and kept me engaged. You are hearing the story from Patroclus's point of view, Patroclus, however you want to pronounce it. There's arguments either way. But anyway, the story is told from his point of view. He is speaking to you in first person. He is telling you his feelings on a wide variety of things. And you basically get to see his relationship with Achilles from the time that he is quite young, when he first becomes a ward of Achilles' father, until they both go to Troy for the Trojan War. So I'm not going to give you any spoilers because, again, if you don't know the story of Achilles, you should probably read this book because it will pack quite the punch for you if you already know the story. It works for me. I did enjoy it. In the end, I gave it 4 stars. I would recommend it. I can understand why people really love it, why they say they sobbed uncontrollably. I did not, but again, I kind of already knew what was going to happen. So yeah, I mean, it's a good book. I am excited to read Circe by Madeline Miller because I am not as familiar with her story, so I'll be curious to see what I think about that one. But yeah, it was a good book to wrap up the month of August on. And yeah, it was a good book. I recommend it. Again, it is what it is. Now, there were 2 books that were on my August TBR that I have not finished even now in September, y'all. Starting back to work last month threw me for a loop. I was exhausted a vast majority of the time, and because of that I did not do nearly as much reading. I need audiobooks in order to get through my TBR. So when I picked my September TBR, I made sure to pay attention to books that were available on audio because I'm hoping that that will help me get through them. But I did not read A Mad Wicked Folly by Sharon Biggs Waller. I am currently reading that one right now. I'm only 14% in, and it's not because I'm not liking it. It's just because I'm tired. And then the other book that I did not read is Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell, which I actually have right here. So I am really hoping that I can finish A Mad Wicked Folly today. We'll see. It's already 3:30 or something like that, but we'll see, because I would love to be able to read this one tomorrow, get those done so I can actually move into my September TBR, which is for Becca's Book-Oplathon. So we'll see. Obviously, keep your eye out for my September reading recap, which will come the first week or so of October, to see how I did. But did not read this one. Did not read A Mad Wicked Folly. It is what it is. Thank you, teaching profession, for absolutely wiping you out. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of long and rambly. These books were kind of difficult to sum up because none of them really truly impacted me, except for Fire. I really loved that one. So yeah, anyway, sorry it was kind of a mess, but if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more from me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.